So this next list is a list of lists regarding Twitter. If you don't know anything about me, maybe you do. I'm a Twitter fanatic, and this is how I do it. A lot of people ask me, how do you keep up with Twitter, Josh? TweetDeck is how you do it. It's free. It's like an app, an add-on for Twitter. It allows you to have these columns to see multiple resources at the same time. The big thing here is curation, curation, curation. You've got to separate this out, especially if you got thousands of followers. Separate your lists out, make them whatever you want. You can add these columns. Super simple to do. So what I've done is made a list of people, for better for worse, that are just interesting or I use for resources. And you can see just how I have it separated. Just makes it super simple for me, maybe for you. News, crypto news, traders, these are people in Bitcoin, whatever. And you can subscribe to most of these. I'll add them to the description below and add them to your TweetDeck if you want, or copy them and change them up. That's up to you. This is just whale calls, strictly whale calls, liquidations, mentions, notifications. These are crypto people in, just in the space, developers, whoever, and then exchanges. Super important to have that separate because, if an exchange goes down, that can be actionable information. If the exchange you're on goes down, that's also important. So that's just a little setup for the list. So I'm going to call this the YouTube list. 19 people. Let's see who I selected and why. So let's break down this list a little bit. We'll start off with the goofs, the gaffs, and the laughs. None better than Luposhi, Crypto Cobain, and Loomdart. Solid folk ranting and raving all over Twitter about various musings. The next group of people are my boys, people I've known for 4+ years at this point. Jim BTC puts out the best crypto gifts that exist. We've got I Am Nomad, who's a snarky snake in the grass, Chicago trader, the real deal. If he ever makes fun of you, don't take it seriously. That's just who he is. We've got the People's Pie, the Piz Pie, Nick Cody, the great man of the North, always posting charts. And then there's Hearns, who doesn't post too many charts, likes to give the devs a hard time. And Whale Calls, which is Nomad's creation for liquidations on futures. What you can do to make this, now I personally use this, a lot of people do, for actionable stuff. You can turn on mobile notifications, and you'll get a push message or whatever it's called, a text or whatever, when a tweet is sent, so that way you can see it on your phone and say, oh, I need to look at the chart, something's happening. Next group of people are people who you can use as a contra indicator. Number one is Vinny Lingham, who's been, that's funny, who's been, won over guru or just completely a joke. Sorry, Vinny, but everything you said this past year has just, the opposite has come true. So if you want to look to him for what not to do, or things to do the opposite of, look no further than Vinny Lingham. David Seaman used to be the number one contra indicator. I don't think he talks about Bitcoin or Ethereum as much anymore. Talking about a guy who went in the deep end, super conspiratorial. There's iBank Bitcoins, who I don't know is trading too much anymore, but again, the 1 over iBank Bitcoins indicator was pretty strong and useful. 1 over IBB. Typically when he says something or does something, it goes the opposite direction, so it's pretty funny. These next two people are people who sort of exploded from the legacy scene into the crypto scene recently. Nicola Duke puts out a lot of great stuff, a lot of actionable charts you can use, you can learn from. She does videos on Twitter. I haven't really seen any of those, but based on her tweets, I'm sure the videos are very valuable and useful. Next one, Parabolic Trav. Again, my man, I don't know where you came from, but he's definitely exploded on the crypto scene, even in the past few weeks. But the good thing about people like Nicola and Parabolic Trav, they're legacy people with a clear understanding, at least from my perception, of what they're talking about, and they're bringing that into crypto. So they're not necessarily, shilling or trying to sell you coins that are junk. They're just using a foundation of knowledge and porting it into this space, which is much needed even for me, you know, I like to look and learn from people who know way more than I do about things. People like Nicola and Parabolic Trev can speak things that I've never been exposed to, and I can therefore learn from them. These next group of people put out excellent charts, again, that you can use, kind of sort of long-time, short-term crypto people that either just do really good stuff or just trade like I do. Crypto Orca, I always love when he puts out charts. Very clean, very easy to read. The levels are very clear. I just really like the way he talks about and does things. Very simplistic, kind of like myself. Always easy to understand. Ledger Status, again, one of these people who sort of just showed up recently, but kind of does what I do as far as cloud stuff. He's more alt-oriented, I think. We've started a podcast together, so check that out. I'll link that up in the description. These next few people basically don't chart anymore, or if they do, it's not a lot because they're behind a paywall, their own private group. I hesitate to talk about these people just because I don't want to promote them, but they're generally good people, so why not? Here's Gas, I don't even know how to say this, and Zeus, Zisu, which I don't have on the list, but they used to put out really good charts, both of them, which are now essentially behind a paywall, I think. Crypto Ed NL puts out charts from time to time that are, you know, you can see up here, Elliott Wave type stuff, or triangles, things like that, which I generally poo-poo Elliott Wave, but he actually does a pretty good job doing some things and using logic that is pretty useful for predictability, wave pattern breakouts. Luke Martin, I met him in real life at Consensus, and again, one of these people just sort of exploded. I hadn't heard of him really ever until a few months ago. He has his own private group. He has some YouTube vids that he's been starting, so check that out. He does do charts from time to time on Twitter that I've not really noticed too much of. Crypto Rand, another guy with private group, likes to talk about triangles. I've seen a lot of falling wedges from him, things like that. Something to pay attention to. If you're in alts, he likes to chart the alts. Picasso, again, another guy with a paid group. He does a lot of charting as well. I don't see as much of it on Twitter anymore. I think most of it's behind a paywall. So those are my, just general people, not in any particular order. Definitely more people I didn't mention. Crypto Gambler, Ace, just a bunch of OG guys. Twitter's just a fun situation for most people who sit behind a computer screen by themselves. Don't get too lost in the noise. Don't take any word for gospel. Everything's a scam until proven otherwise. So definitely don't use other people's stuff solely for actionable trading decisions, but I think there are plenty of people who do enough stuff for free that it's worth, again, observing, looking, learning from them, and incorporating that into your own trading style.